Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're back in Warframe to do something a little bit different than usual. This time we will test some very old weapons, and these are the ones you get from Syndicates. These are very easy to acquire primaries, secondaries and even melee weapons for all tenors alike, and especially for newer players. And since that's the case, I wanted to find out which Syndicate has the best weapons. I'll explore all 3 Syndicate weapons of each and every faction once a week, and at the end we will finally have an answer to this very important question. This is part 1 of... This week we are having a look at the Synoid weapons from Cephalon Suda, a faction whose leader is this once human now turned to AI lady that somehow really hates me for no reason at all. And from the Syndicate we get access to the Synoid versions of the Simulor, the Gammacor and the Heliocor. These special variants all have unique traits. Simulor and Gammacor get the Suda trait that, upon gaining enough affinity, triggers a magnetic explosion in a 25-meter radius, restores 25% of your max energy, and also increases your energy pool by 25% for 30 seconds, while the Heliocor now summons spectral versions of enemies killed by its heavy attacks. Simulor and Heliocor also keep the unique trait from their base form that makes them scan enemies that you kill with these weapons into your codex. And that's all the unique stuff for these weapons. And if I forgot something, please add it in the comments. Now moving to the builds for all the Synoid variants, this is what I'm currently using. The Synoid Simulor is using a build that mostly focuses on dealing damage in a huge AoE, and we are also using the new mod, which is Spontaneous Singularity that you can obtain from the current Nightwave. This mod makes it so that instead of shooting these vortexes that you usually have, you instead fire normal-ish bullets that will explode on contact with enemies, dealing 90% bonus damage, and have an 18% chance to pull all enemies within range into the center of the Singularity. These orbs cannot bounce or combine, which is what they usually do whenever you don't have this mod equipped. This build is a mix of crits and also status damage, because that's pretty much the only way to deal damage in Warframe in these current days. Moving on to the Synoid Gammacor, we have an Incarnon for this weapon, and so we are making use of it, and these are the evolutions I went for, mostly more base damage, some more magazine capacity, which is nice to have, and for last some more critical stats, which are always useful. This is the build I'm using, which has a Raven, which I do recommend going for because this weapon is not the greatest, although it can deal with enemies even without this Raven. Just use Prime Hit Charge instead. It will be pretty much the same, other than maybe having less crit chance. It's just gonna be similar in terms of damage, but of course a Raven makes it much better. I'm also running Hornet Strike and Cascadia Flare because the base damage on this weapon, even with the Incarnon form active, is just not great, and so we need all the damage bonuses we can get, and that's why I'm also running Galvanized Shot, because for the primary fire mode, which is a beam, this helps with dealing more damage. As for the explosion, this won't trigger at all unless you consider the damage of the actual projectile you shoot, which is just not that much, but the radial explosion deals a lot of damage, and the area is only 5 meters, but that's fine because we can spam it. And the radial explosion will deal most of the damage, which is honestly what matters. I'm also using Pistol Elementalist because whenever I'm shooting with the primary fire mode, which once again it's a beam, I need my status damage to be high because heat is gonna be the main source of our damage. And the last weapon is the Synoid Heliocor, which, as always, is gonna use a melee influence build. This is your general melee influence build, nothing too crazy, nothing too fun, and honestly this weapon is not even that great. From my testings, it's just okay, and that's pretty much gonna be it. And so this is the build it gets, because it's the only one that makes it barely usable. And those are the builds, so let's now see how they perform. I also removed my companion because he will probably deal most of the damage, so yeah, he's not coming with us. Very sad, but he'll be back very soon. I will be testing against 20 corrupted heavy gunners level 230 with steel pad modifiers because they are very tanky enemies, and so we can see if these weapons can even deal with the very high level enemies that you usually find in endgame missions. Starting with the Simulor, this is what you can expect from this weapon. The damage is okay the moment it starts ramping up, and the moment you get some kills and actually start building merciless stacks, that's when you finally start dealing damage, which this weapon honestly doesn't even need merciless. It's already fine with the base damage amplifying mod on, and I think it's just nice to have merciless because it will help dealing with these very high level enemies, but for most of your gameplay you won't notice, and yeah, it just deals some solid damage. It might take a few more bullets than other weapons, but I think this gets a pass. It's actually an interesting weapon to use. Now moving to the Gammacor, we have both of the fire modes. We'll be testing the normal fire mode and also the Incarnon, because that's what we get, that's what we have. And yeah, the hit damage is solid. Even with like only 12 stacks, we are able to deal with these very high level enemies. And we are also building up our Cascadia Flare, giving us 480% more damage, which is additive with Hornet Strike, and so we get a lot of damage. The only sad thing is that it goes to 0 if we don't trigger a hit status for 10 seconds, which is kinda sad. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As for the Incarnon, the actual bullet will pull in nearby enemies, which is very nice. And it does deal some solid damage. I mean, it's not the fastest explosive weapon, but as far as secondary explosive weapons go, this is up there with, I think, not the Atomos, but it's very close to that weapon. Yes, it's similar, but the Atomos, in my opinion, is still better. Now for the very boring part. This is going to be the Heliocor. Do not expect much. This weapon is just not there that much. It's good. I mean, it does deal damage. Once again, you'll be able to kill stuff because of melee influence and how freaking broken that arcane is. Other than that, the weapon itself does not deal damage. If you're stuck with like an acolyte or something, you'll be having a lot of troubles, even by just having one tanky enemies in front of me. I was already struggling, and that's pretty much how this weapon performs. It's just barely okay, and it's probably the worst of the Synoid weapons. Now for a more realistic-ish test, I'll have my companion that will apply viral, and I'll also use roar because you usually have some ways to amplify your damage in mission. So let's see how this goes. Let's start with the Heliocor, and of course, since we are applying viral, enemies just die from all the electricity procs. As for the Simulor, it's gonna be pretty much the same. The moment the viral is applied, the status damage of this weapon is pretty high, and our companion can also deal some very nice damage on its own. As for the Synoid Gammacor, it's just the same, and the Incarnon is just even better because now with viral we can deal much more damage, and yeah, enemies just explode. So yeah, if you're using them with like any Warframe buff and a companion that actually does something, yes, they are pretty good weapons, and all of them are viable, which is nice. And those are the Synoid weapons. Simulor and Gammacor for sure get a pass for good weapons. Even in high level missions, I think the damage is quite solid, and they are also user friendly because the M economy on the Simulor is great, and the same goes for the Gammacor. As for the Heliocor though, this weapon, I think it's just okay. It does deal okay damage and can for sure kill stuff, especially if you apply viral with your pet or in any other way. It's just that there are better melee weapons that you can easily get in the game, and they make better use of melee influence anyway, so it's just a fun weapon to have and great for scanning stuff, I guess. So for me, this is a solid 2 out of 3 good weapons for Cephalon Suda. This means that in my opinion it's worth choosing Cephalon Suda as your first Syndicate if you just want some very cool, very strong weapons to slowly build and improve with time. I am not sure if I should add a survival showcase for this series, since the amount of time I spent actually building and testing this weapon is insane. It's like way over the amount I usually spend for my videos, and most of these weapons are just so weak it's not even fun leveling them up. Yeah, if you just wanna also see that, let me know in the comments. I'll upload a quick video with the showcase for this family ASAP. If you like this series, remember to leave a like. That gives me a nice boost for creativity and definitely keeps me motivated to spend all my platinums on formas and potatoes for these weapons. If you're interested in seeing more Warframe content in the future, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you want, you can also follow me on Twitch for my usually weekly streams, and join my Discord to receive all the notifications for all my content drops. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, thanks for watching, and bye bye.